ZEnglish is an online English school with native and bilingual teachers from all over the world. If you like our videos, subscribe, click the link below, and head to zenglish.jp for a free lesson. Hello, I'm Ben and I'm going to talk you through this grammar workshop all about modal verbs. So first of all, what is a modal verb? It's just a verb you put before another verb to modify it, to have an effect on what it means. So if your verb was eat, I can eat, I could eat, I ought to eat, I shouldn't eat. They all have different meanings. The modal verb can, could, ought to, shouldn't. It changes what you're meaning. So for example, what would you say the difference is between I can run very fast and I could run very fast? So I can is about that being possible, but what's the difference there between can and could? Think about that for a moment. We will come back to it later. Similarly, is there a difference between I should do that immediately and I ought to do that immediately? I think that's a more difficult question. A lot of native speakers couldn't tell you the answer, and couldn't tell is another use of a modal verb, because should and ought to are so similar, people use them quite interchangeably, so they don't mind whether using this or that. And interchangeably is a word you will see a lot in this workshop, because there are differences, but a lot of the time people ignore those differences with some of the words. So don't panic and try not to worry. So we'll make a start with the modals of ability. It's ability because it's what you're able to do. I can do this means it is possible. I'm able to. For example, can I have some more cake? It's a question I ask a lot, and it's asking, is it possible? If there's no cake, then of course it's not possible. You can't have more. May I have some more cake? Isn't about, is this possible? It's asking, is it allowed? Is it okay? Do I have your permission? So people do use those to mean the same thing. Can I have some? May I have some? But really there is a slight difference. In usage, the real difference is can I is the more common way of asking, but may I, because it's asking for permission, is more polite and more formal. Could I? It's very similar to can I. Could I has a sort of implied if. Could I do this if it's okay? Could I do this if I also do that? So we'll move on and look at more of this same topic. Again, modals of ability. So I can do this means it is possible. I can eat a whole cake in less than an hour. I probably shouldn't, but I can. It is possible. So it's the same as saying, I am able to do this. I could do this. Now, I could has two different meanings you could use there. So I could can be in the past tense. I could do this when I was younger, but now I can't do it anymore. Or could be related to if. I could do this if I had help. I could lift this piano if you helped me. Then we have I may do this. And that has two meanings as well. It can mean I am allowed to, so I may enter the palace. I may go and visit my friend because he's given me permission. But it might also mean I may or may not do this. I may have a bath or I may not. I'm not sure. And I might. It's very similar. So I might do this or I might not. I might eat an egg if I can find one. And what a beautiful picture of an egg this is. So If this seems a little confusing, if may and might seem a bit similar, they are. Don't worry about them too much. People really use them quite interchangeably a lot of the time. So, on to another kind of modal verb, modals of advice. Oh, you should do this. You ought to do that. You had better do this. So, when you're advising someone, giving them advice, you might use these modal verbs. I think you should do this. It's a bit of advice. You're saying, I would recommend this. It's often about what's right, what's sensible, or what's considered correct. So there are a few examples here. I should get more exercise, or you shouldn't let your kids stay out all night, or you should be careful with that. So it's very often a warning about consequences. You should do this, or there might be a bad consequence. Ought to is a bit similar. I'd say it's a bit stronger and a bit less common. So it's about your duty. It's about making the right moral choice. You ought to report this crime to the police. And with the negative, you oughtn't to do this. I oughtn't to eat this cake, but it's hard to stop myself. And ought and oughtn't are always used with to. I ought to do this. I oughtn't to do that. And I had better do this, really very similar again. It's a bit more casual. Oh, you'd better do this. You'd better not do that again. So you had better do this, or you had better not do that. There's always had before better, and then the verb. So a little more casual. Oh, you'd better be careful, or something terrible could happen.